Let us head on to the next section. First, we will be dealing with the consumer rights and some kind of information about the different kind of goods and services. And also we will be evaluating a certain case study as to when a consumer choice is particularly denied. Then we are going to see that more details of the Consumer Protection Act, that is COPRA, that is enacted by the government of India, into which emphasizes on the consumer movements in India. Further, we are going to see a very positive aspect of taking the entire consumer movement forward and spreading their wings. And then we are going to, once we have seen the major content of what a consumer movement is, we will be evaluating the different challenges or criticisms to this kind of a movement that is followed in India, also called as consumerism. Post finishing the entire chapter, we will have a brief summary as to what we have covered in the previous slides. So without wasting any time, let us get on to this section. Firstly, we have consumer rights. First being, safety is everyone's right. Let us briefly see an anecdote on Reggie's suffering. This is a small story that is, speaks about Reggie's suffering. So let us read that loud. Reggie Matthew, a healthy boy in school, was admitted in a private clinic in Kerala for the removal of tonsils. An ENT surgeon performed the tonsillectomy operation under general anesthesia. As a result of improper anesthesia, Reggie showed symptoms of some brain abnormalities because of which he was crippled for life. His father filed a complaint in the State Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission claiming compensation of over rupees 5 lakh for medical negligence and deficiency in service. The State Commission, saying that the evidence was not sufficient, dismissed this plea. Reggie's father appealed again in the National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, New Delhi. The National Commission, after looking into the complaint, held the hospital responsible for medical negligence and directed to pay the compensation for Reggie's recovery. So this is a brief short story of what you've seen in Reggie's scenario. As consumers, we have the right to be protected against the marketing of goods and delivery of services that are hazardous to life and property. Producers need to strictly follow the required safety rules and regulations. There are many goods and services in the market that we purchase that require special attention to safety. For example, pressure cookers have a safety valve which, in case it becomes defective, can cause a serious accident. The manufacturers of this safety valve must ensure high quality. However, we do find bad quality products in the market because the supervision of these rules is weak and the consumer movement is also not very strong. Next, we'll head on to information about goods and services. So when you buy this particular commodity, you will find certain details given on the packaging, such as the ingredients that are being used, the price of that, and the batch number, the date of the manufacture of that product, the expiry date of that product, and the address of the manufacturer. So when we buy medicines on those packets, you might find statements such mention directions for proper use and information relating to side effects and risks that are associated when you use that medicine. When you buy clothes or garments, you will find information on instructions for washing. Why is it that rules have been made so that the manufacturer displays this information? It is because consumers have the right to be informed about the particulars of goods and services that they purchase. Now it makes sense, right? Consumers can then complain and ask for compensation or replacement if the product proves to be defective in any kind of manner. For example, if we buy a product and find it defective well within the expiry period, we can ask for a particular replacement. If people sell medicines that have expired, severe action can be taken against them. Similarly, One can protest and complain if someone sells a good at more than the printed price on the packet. So basically, the printed price on the packet is called as MRP, that is the maximum retail price. So if you find someone is selling a commodity that is more than the MRP, we can protest and complain against them. In fact, consumers can bargain with the seller to sell at less than the MRP, which is called bargaining. Recently, the right to information has been expanded to cover various services that are provided by the government. In the year October 2005, the government of India enacted a law which is popularly known as Right to Information Act, that is RTI, which ensures its citizens all the information about the functions of government departments. So let us briefly see a case study as to when choice is denied. Again, we're going to see a small anecdote or a story of a refund story. Let us read this story out loud. Abhirami, who is a student, joined a 2-year course at a local coaching institute for a professional course in New Delhi. At the time of joining the course, she paid a fees of Rs 61,020 as lump sum for the entire course of 2 years. However, she decided to opt out of the course at the end of 1 year as she found the quality of teaching was not up to the mark. So when she asked for a refund of the fee for 1 year, it was denied to her. So she filed the case in the district consumer court, and when she did that, the court directed the institute to refund 28,000, saying that she had the right to choose this kind of an option. The state commission upheld the district court's direction and further fined the institute of rupees 25,000 for a frivolous appeal. It also directed the institute to pay compensation and litigation cost. The state commission directed all the educational and professional institutes in the states to not pay the entire fee at one go. It should be paid at certain installments. Any violation of this order may invite penalties and imprisonment, and also finally the closure of that institute is what the state commission finally directed. So you can see how this choice was denied to her and how she fought back at the state commission for a proper compensation. So what do we exactly understand from this incident? We understand that any consumer who receives a service in whatever capacity, regardless of age, gender, and nature of service, has the right to choose whether to continue to receive this service. Suppose you want to buy toothpaste and the shop owner says that she can sell the toothpaste only if you buy a toothbrush. If you're not interested in buying the toothbrush, your choice is finally decided. That is, if you're not interested in buying the toothbrush, you will also not get the toothpaste, right? In this way, many a times you're forced to buy some things that you may not wish to, and you're left with absolutely no choice but to buy both the commodities. So where do you think exactly consumers should go and get that justice that they rightfully need? So take a look at those examples in which consumers are denied their rights. Consumers have the right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices and exploitation. If any damage is done to consumer, she has the right to get compensation depending on the degree of such a damage. There is a need to provide an easy and effective public system by which this can be done. The consumer can ultimately file a complaint before the appropriate consumer forum on his or her own, with or without the service of lawyers. Let us take the case of Prakash. He had sent a money order to his village for his daughter's marriage. The money did not reach his daughter at the time of the marriage when she needed it, and it did not reach months later as well. Prakash filed a case in the district level consumer court in New Delhi. The court judgment announced that the court verdict posed for verification of the documents. The consumer movement in India has led to the formation of various organizations that are locally known as consumer forums or consumer protection councils. So these are formed so that your movement can be passed on to a larger crowd. They guide consumers on how to file cases in the consumer court. Sometimes they also represent this particular individual in the individual consumers in the consumer courts itself. These voluntary organizations also receive financial support from the government in order to create awareness among people about the consumer movement. Now let us see what exactly is COPRA, that is Consumer Protection Act 1986. A three-tier quasi-judicial, that is half judicial machinery at the district, state and national levels was set up for redressal of consumer disputes. The district level court, called District Forum, deals with the cases that are involving claims up to rupees 20 lakh. The state level court, called the State Commission, deals with cases between rupees 20 lakh and 1 crore. The national level court, called the National Commission, deals with cases involving those claims which exceed rupees 1 crore. If a case is dismissed in a district court level court itself, a consumer can take up that appeal in the state or the national level courts. Hence, the Act has enabled us as consumers to have the right to represent ourselves in the consumer courts. So let us see how you can take the consumer movement forward. This movement is so important that our government has decided to keep a certain date, that is 24th December, as the National Consumers Day in India. So it was on this particular day that the Parliament enacted the Consumer Protection Act, that is COPRA 1986. India is one of the countries that have exclusive courts for consumer redressal. The movement has progressed ever since. That is, today there are more than 700 consumer groups in the country, out of which only about 20 to 25 are well organized and recognized for their work. What are the basic challenges? The consumer redressal process is becoming cumbersome, expensive, and time consuming. So by the time it goes from the district to the state commission to the national commission, it is a very, very long process, and many illiterates do not understand the basic procedures of how to go forward. Also, some procedures are very expensive and take a lot of time, and not everyone is blessed with patience, right? So this is what is one of the major challenge. Many times, consumers are required to engage lawyers, and in these cases, they require time for filling and attending the court proceedings. In most purchases, cash memos are not issued, hence, evidence is not easy to gather. The invoices are not kept with themselves, and hence, it is not easy. The existing laws also are not very clear on the issue of compensation to consumers which are injured by defective products. After more than 30 years of the enactment of COPRA, consumer awareness in India is spreading, but it is very, very, very slow. The enforcement of laws that protect workers, especially in the unorganized sector, is weak. Rules and regulations for working of markets are often not followed. The rules and regulations are not followed. Nevertheless, as a way forward, as a positive outcome, there is always scope for consumers to realize their role and importance in the market. It is often said that consumer movements can be effective only with the consumer's active involvement. We are the mainstay of this entire movement. So we have to be active in asking for what is our right, what is our basic rights, and standing up for ourselves. It requires a voluntary effort and struggle involving the participation of one and all for cooperation and a collective movement altogether. So let us completely see the summary of this entire chapter now. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 ensures the following as rights which every consumer in India should possess. So, from the entire chapter, we have realized that COPRA ensures this as the following rights that you and I have. That is, first you have the right to information, then you have the right to choose, then you have right to redressal, that is get in the legal experts and the legal commissions in order to figure out the issue. Then we have the right to representation either by ourselves or with the help of a lawyer. Then you have the right to safety, that is right to having safe products for usage. And then we have the right to consumer education. So these are the six rights we have covered in this entire chapter, and these are the rights that all of us have when it comes to being consumers in the market.